Welcome back, everybody. About to talk about NFL Week 10. Off to a pretty good start today. LSU took care of business. And if you went with the Celtics this morning, they seem to have the better narrative. They handled their business in San Antonio. And do pay attention to the fact that the Lakers and the Celtics are both 7-1. Those are big basketball numbers. NBA's 17, the reflection. Celtics is 71. It's one of the most historic rivalries in sports. Wondering if Kyrie Irving leaving Boston could be like, what's-his-face leaving the Washington Nationals? Bryce Harper. That's his name. Anyway, let's jump into NFL Week 10. I got to just tell you right off the bat, I don't like NFL Week 10. I know eventually we're going to get to a week where a whole bunch lines up. It's been about 3 weeks since we had one of those weeks. We've done okay in the time being, but anyway, we're still not to the kind of alignment we want to see, and let's just go through it. I just see so many tight games this week. I'm not thrilled. So the Lions and the Bears. My problem with this game is Trubisky. He's stuck on 18 wins. He can't get past 18 wins. Let me make sure he still is the starter in case there's any late news here. Chicago Bears, Week 10, starting QB. Again, Trubisky's stuck. Yep, so he's still the QB. He wears the number 10. It's Week 10. Maybe this is his week. He's my apprehension here. Because if the Lions lose, they're 3-5-1, which makes sense. Chicago's 35. If the Bears win, they're 4-5. That makes sense. Bears is 45. It's just Trubisky stuck on these 18 wins, and he hasn't been able to get off it. And I keep wondering if maybe he won't get off it and he'll eventually lose his job because Bears is 18. This week, Detroit Lions is 61. The 18th prime. The ref on the field this week is number 99. It's Tony Corrente. These teams are going to play again on Thanksgiving, and that'll be a Thursday, of course. Thursday equals 100. So I'm thinking, do the Bears get the 100th win here, or do they get it on Thanksgiving in Detroit? But I imagine at the conclusion of the season, they will have the 100th win since they're one of two teams that are in their 100th season, the other being the Cardinals. But Bears lead 99-74-5 versus the Lions. Again, 100th NFL season. Ref number 99 on the field. And hold on. Oh, wait a minute. Hold up. I got dyslexic here. How did I even do that? Hold on. Hold on. The ref number 99 is not on the field. Tony Corrente is... I don't even know how I ended up doing that. That is weird. Maybe at first I looked at the wrong ref. All right, apologies. It's Carl Sheffers who's number 51, so let me fix that. No. Okay, Carl Sheffers number 51 is the ref for this game, so disregard the number 99 thing. Carl Sheffers' name does equal 59 in Gematria, and if the Bears won, they'd get the 59th win at home versus the Lions in this game. Again, Trubisky, he's 18-16 all time. He's 18-15 in the regular season. He has 10 wins at home. Again, he wears the number 10. It's Week 10. If he lost, he'd be 10-10 at home all time. So I have a feeling. I have a feeling that if he lost this game, he would lose his job, and they'd bring in somebody else. Again, Detroit Lions is 61, the 18th prime. Bears is 18. He's stuck on 18 wins. He's 1-1 at home versus the Lions. If he lost, he'd be 1-2, a bit like 12. Chicago's 37, Detroit's 37. 37's the 12th prime, like 1-2. Matt Nagy, if he lost this week, he'd get his 10th loss in the regular season. And then the other thing is, if the Bears lost this week, they would definitely lose next week because next week they would fall to 3-7 in Los Angeles. Los Angeles and Chicago are both 37. So if Bears lose this week, they're 3-6. They'd be destined for that 3-7 next week. Chicago does equal 37-46, but Los Angeles is 37 where the game is. So The best thing going for the Bears is, again, the team's had records. If the Lions lose, they're 3-5-1 against Chicago's 35, and 3-5-1's a bit like 351, which is the 26th triangular number. And bear, the singular, is 26. And sometimes I think that singular bear word does play with the Bears. I've talked about that a few times in the past. Kind of reminiscent of last year in the Super Bowl. The Patriots won the 26th Super Bowl for the AFC. The only touchdown scored was by number 26, Sony Michel, 351 days after his birthday. So this week, Martin last week found the thing that has all the stadium's records for every team. So I plugged in all the stadium information this week. The Bears are 221, 163, and 1 at their stadium. I don't really see anything about that syncs up with the Lions or the date. The Lions are 17 and 30 at the Bears stadium. Their next win there will be 18. That symbolic number. Bears is 18, and again, Detroit Lions is 61, the 18th prime. It doesn't mean they have to pick it up this week, but it could be the nail in the coffin for Trubisky if it did happen. So it's tough. It's a tough call. The head-to-head record says Bears. The season records for both teams say Bears, but just the Trubisky thing is the one hang-up because the QB narratives are crucial. So personally, I'm not crazy about that game. I'll think about it a little bit more and update my notes, but right now it's a game I'd probably stay away from. Lamar Jackson's questionable right now. I don't know if Lamar Jackson's going to play or not. If he doesn't play, this could end up being the Bengals' first win of the season. So, and let me just check right now to see if there's any updated information. Lamar Jackson, Week 10 status. Because there's quite a few things number-wise that go against the Ravens in this game. And let me see. Let's see who Lamar Jackson's backup would be if it wasn't him. Well, they said he was a full participant at practice Friday, so that's probably a sign that he's going to play if he was a full participant on Friday. Caller?
Yeah, I just wanted to add one more thing to the Lions probably winning. I wrote down that Matthew Stafford could become 11-8 against the Bears all time, and
is Soldier Field 118?
In English order, sums to 118.
Is that Soldier Field? What's 118? Is it Soldier Field?
Yeah, Soldier Field in English order sums to 118. Matthew Stafford could become 11-8 against the Bears.
Yep, you're right about that. As soon as you said that, I was like, wait a minute, I think I know where he's going with this. Yep, you're right. Good catch.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I think that adds to that. And then you're on the Ravens game, so I've seen one thing I wanted to add to that. So you said Lamar Jackson is questionable, but if he does play, it says that he could fall to 2-1 against the Bengals. And if I'm not mistaken, today has a numerology of 21. If that's correct.
Sunday? Let me see. No. Well, 11. I guess 11 plus 10 is 21. So yeah, the day plus the month is 21. Yeah.
Right. I've seen that, and I did see this for Decode against the Ravens winning, and I've seen that John Harbaugh could pick up his 75th all-time regular season loss, and Cincinnati Bengals in full production sums to 75, and Baltimore Maryland also sums to 75.
Yeah, that's what I saw too. That he could pick up that 75th loss. Harbaugh, Cincinnati Bengals is 75. So. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But counteracting that, John Harbaugh could pick up his 111th win all time, and if you look at today's date, 11/10, do minus 0 to 111.
That's true.
So that's also there. Also, I've seen that. So Ryan Finley, he's supposed to be the starting quarterback for the Bengals.
Right.
And his name sums to 61 in full production, and 61 is the 18th prime. Kind of like how the Bengals could become 1-8 if he wins in his first start. So that's possible.
Well, wait, say that again about Finley and 1-8. What is it?
Yeah, Ryan Finley. If you type his name in, he's supposed to be the starting quarterback for the Bengals.
Right. I got that.
His name's in full reduction funds to 61, the 18 prep.
It does. I got 51 for it, like Cincinnati, not 61.
Not for Ryan Finley?
Yeah, let me try it again. Ryan Finley. I'm pretty sure it equals 51. Whoops. I copied the wrong thing. I'm pretty sure Ryan Finley equals 51, though. Here, let me verify it real quick.
Oh, okay. It equals 51. Okay.
Yeah, just like Cincinnati.
61. I don't know why.
Cincinnati.
In full reduction.
Yeah, Ryan Finley's 51. Cincinnati's also 51.
Oh, okay. And then, okay, 51, so... Oh, okay, I must have made a mistake there. Yeah, it is 51. And today leaves 51 days in the remaining in the year, does it not?
It does. Well, Sunday, you're saying today, but the day of the game leaves 51 days left in the year.
Yeah,
right.
The day of the game, right.
Right.
There's at least 51 days remaining.
Right.
Okay. I think that's all I had. But, yeah, definitely Matthew Stafford becoming 11-8 in Soldier Field. And possibly John Harbaugh picking up that 75th offense.
Yeah. All right. Good observations. Appreciate it. All right. See you, man. Okay, so here's the thing. I mean, if we take away the gematria, it's hard to imagine the Ravens losing this game unless Ryan Finley is going to be another one of these quarterbacks to come in and ball out. But if the Ravens win, notice they're 4-1 away. Big number with Baltimore. Baltimore's 41, and then their next away game is the Rams, and Rams equals 51. So if they win both these games, and they very well might, I mean, they just put it on the Seahawks in Seattle and the Patriots. And by the way, you guys, I just want to pause right here because this is probably going to be the most important part of this live stream. If you were with us last year, how come that's not coming up? If you were with us last year, before the season even began, we were talking about the War of 1812 and the Battle of New Orleans and the national anthem. The national anthem came out of the War of 1812. And then the first game of the season, the score was 18-12. And a big part of that story is the Battle of New Orleans, which ended the War of 1812, and Baltimore, where the national anthem was written. So, and again, they called this the Year of the Black Quarterback, ESPN, and they put out the image of Lamar Jackson and Mahomes. In light of the Saints being the team that we've been the most on out of all the teams in the NFL and looking for the right opponent, maybe this is what it is. Maybe it is the whole War of 1812 thing, and it is Baltimore and the Saints. At this point in the season, that seems like a really realistic narrative. So I'd say, as of right now, I think that is the most likely Super Bowl scenario. But this is what I want to show you right here. So somebody called into my show and they said they think this shooting story at the Popeyes Chicken in Maryland might be a football narrative, and that might sound silly on the surface. But I was like, okay, that's interesting because Popeyes is headquartered out of Louisiana, and this happened in Maryland, like Baltimore, like the Ravens. And they said the victim was Kevin Tyrell Davis. Look at this guy's name compared to the Saints. Kevin Tyrell Davis, 208, like New Orleans Saints. 224, like New Orleans Saints. 98, like New Orleans Saints. So I have to think about this more, but this story does connect those two locations, Baltimore and Louisiana. Popeyes is out of Louisiana, out of New Orleans as well. So, if you made me pick the Super Bowl today, I think that's what it would have to be at this point. It goes with the narrative we were talking about last year, and these teams look right at this point in the season. Okay, so in light of the Ravens being the team, the Patriots lost some games last year that were humiliating. They went on to win the Super Bowl, so it's not out of the question that the Ravens could drop this game because they have some numbers going against them, especially if Jackson doesn't play. But being logical, they probably do not. And so the Ravens, if their away record becomes 4-1, Baltimore's 41, LA's also 41. That's their next away game, so they'd go into LA 4-1, and then Rams is 51. So if they won their next 2 away games, they'd be 5-1 away. So, I mean, that's probably the correct lean. It's just, I hate that the Bengals are starting a new quarterback because there's big question marks with him. And the one concern on the Bengals side, well, 2 potential concerns. If Jackson lost, he'd be 5-3 away. His next away game is Los Angeles, which also equals 53. So there's 2 different ways you can look at that. And then Harbaugh can get his 75th loss, and Cincinnati Bengals is 75 in the most pure cipher. So it's possible. But Caller did make a good point about the date. 11/10, kind of like 111. You could get his 111th win as well. Caller? Caller?
Hey, Zach, what's going on?
What's up, man?
All right, this is Mike Smith.
Thanks for calling in.
Hey, I'm gonna tell you something I noticed. Have you ever seen that Jerome Bettis commercial?
Who? What player?
Jerome Bettis.
Oh, Jerome Bettis, where he's playing flag football.
Right.
Okay, yeah, I seen it.
Did you see when he scored the touchdown and he said the score was 49?
Nothing. Yep.
I'm thinking the 49ers.
Well, that's possible. That is possible. So here's a few other things to think about with 49. Steelers equals 49, the team he played for. NFL equals 49. Super Bowl equals 49. Scottish equals 49, since it's credited to Scottish Rite Freemasonry. But since you make that, the 49ers had a really symbolic game against the Steelers this year. The 49ers are definitely a team to consider, no doubt about it. So that is a good point. Maybe I'll go back and pay more attention to that commercial. I think it's a progressive commercial.
I noticed it yesterday. I said, oh, okay, so he's calling the 49ers. And, the 49ers the only undefeated team.
Right.
So I said, why would he say 49 to nothing? But I understand what you're saying, but it also made me, think about the 49ers.
Well, indeed, and 49ers even once won a Super Bowl 49. I think they won at 49-7 over the Chargers, if I remember right.
Right.
So, yeah.
All right. I was just bringing it to your attention, but I'm listening to you. I did good on your picks yesterday, man. You keep doing what you're doing. What I do wish that you would get some kind of moderator to delete some of those people that be coming on your board.
I totally agree, man, because they ruin the whole community feel. The problem is it's impossible. There's no way to delete. Well, you can delete comments, but you can't block commenters, because if you block a commenter, it gives them a full refund, and then they sign right back up. And about 3 months ago, I blocked all the trolls, but then they just came back, and then they posted even more than they did before. So I was like, okay, it's like I messed with the beehive. But I'm building another site, and the intention is to eventually get you guys to transfer to that site where there will be able to be moderators and to block out all the trolling. So I do have that idea to make that happen.
Yeah, because that makes no sense, man. People just sit up there just trolling. If you don't like this guy, if you don't like his picks or whatever, move on.
Right.
I don't understand why they sit there and try to trash things and do that. It makes no sense, man. If I don't like something, I'm not finna sit there. I'm finna go. Exactly. And these guys sit there like it's the only thing they have to do in their life. I mean, I did a live stream last night, and they're all talking about my live stream last night. It's like, okay, so you guys are just trolling here all day. You're watching all my videos. That's all you want to do is just watch everything I do and make fun of it. I mean, get a life. So let me tell you what I did, Zach. I took your Washington National pick.
Mm-hmm.
I made $2,000 off that.
Congrats.
Then when you said that the Lakers was going to win 4 in a row, I doubled that each time and won 4 times in a row on $10,000 off your pick. Started with $500.
Well, you're a big roller, man. Congratulations. So yeah, keep it up, man.
I listen to you. I listen to you. I make little wages. I put little things together. So far, I'm ahead. So I don't know what they talking about, but I'm ahead. I'm doing good.
All right. Well, I would just suggest now that you've made that 10,000, I wouldn't keep doubling. I'd say I'd put that money in the bank and start over with the same type of strategy.
I put my count back down to 2,000.
There you go. Yeah. You got to put it away.
I took that grand out.
All right. Good, man. Glad to hear that. Keep it up.
All right. I'll talk to you.
All right. Take care, man. The trolls aren't going to talk about that call. Anyway, And speaking of which, if you guys are doing well, be careful this NFL week. I just want to warn you again, this is the kind of week where you can give your money right back because the games, I got all sorts of bad feelings about this week. Even games like this, I'm not even confident about the Ravens beating the Bengals. I don't like that Harbaugh can pick up his 75th loss, but I do suspect the Ravens probably will win here, and they'll probably beat the Rams next on the road to get to 5-1 away. And I'm going to be watching that because right now I am leaning on a Saints-Ravens Super Bowl. And if that's the Super Bowl, I will also be leaning on the Ravens winning, even though Drew Brees is going to be 41 years old. Keep in mind, Baltimore equals 41. Hold on, let me take this call. Caller?
Hey, what's up, Zach?
What's up?
What about the streak of 8 for the Cincinnati Bengals?
Well, you're saying because they've lost 8 straight this season, maybe it ends there?
Yeah.
Well,
and for the Seattle game too, because they're the Niners are 8-0 too.
Yeah, we'll get to that Seattle game. There's quite a few things that line up for the 49ers, but Seattle has 2 good things in their corners. That game's tough too. I honestly think the safest game of the week this week is Sunday Night Football. We'll get to that, but the streaks at 8, the streak at 8 thing might be over with because, like we saw last week, streaks at 8 they went 1 for 3. And maybe it's because we got past week 8 of the season. In week 9, what were the streaks of 8 that failed last week? The Packers did not win their 8th straight against the Chargers. And
well, the Packers they were 6-1. I think 6-1 or 7-1 last week.
But they were going for their 8th straight win against the Chargers.
Oh, okay.
And they didn't. So that streak of 8 failed, and then the other one was the Dolphins could have lost their 8th straight game. But I even said in the thing, I said, this might be the streak of 8 that fails right here because I saw that symbolism with the coach getting his first win against the old Dolphins coach. So, yeah.
Oh, okay.
But I hear what you're saying. I mean, I did think about that too. Maybe the Bengals, maybe they get a win here, and their losing streak of 8 ends it. It's just this Ravens team looks really good, and them losing to the lowly Bengals, I mean, it doesn't sound right, but again, that's that any given Sunday NFL parody thing, so.
Yeah, oh, okay. All right, thanks, Zach.
All right, yeah, take care, man. See you.
Right.
Caller? Caller?
Hey, Zach?
What's up, man?
Hey, what's up, man? Hey, are you doing the football live stream right now?
I am, yeah.
Okay, hey, real quick, if you want to jump on to care11.com, care is spelled with a K. How fitting, right? You know, K, the 11th letter, care11. Care11.com, you have a story here, local here in the Twin Cities, Minnesota. If you scroll down just a little bit, you have a story here. Star Tribune brings back Peach Edition, which is pretty interesting here because, we got Vikings playing Cowboys. And what I noticed here is Teach that they highlighted in this article equals 33 and 102, and Cowboys equals 33 and 102.
Right.
So, yeah, I don't know how that's syncing up with all the rest of the other connections and all that here, but just the thing I wanted to throw out here and all that. I mean, also, each edition 64, 62, 109, 215, and I'm sure you can look at that and everything else too, so.
All right. Yeah, maybe Minnesota, since they got their big win this week in college. Minnesota 52 on the day, leaving 52 days left in the year. Huge win over Penn State. Maybe the Vikings, they don't get the joy this week. So I'll check it out. Care 11.
We'll see how it works out.
All right.
I just wanted to throw that out there for you. So.
All right. Appreciate it, man. Thanks, man.
All right. Peace out, man.
All right. Take care. See you. All right. Okay. The date numerology also 60 and 33. Those are Bengals numbers. Could show up in the score. Maybe 60 points. Maybe somebody wins with 33. Ravens probably do win this one, but again, the biggest concern is Harbaugh picking up that 75th loss. So The Bills and the Browns. I really hate the Browns. I hate when things line up for the Browns because they're a team that seems to squander some decent riddles this year. Hold on, we got another caller. Caller?
Hey, Zach, I don't want to interrupt. Just a few seconds here. I wanted to throw my 2 cents in on that Bengals thing real fast.
Yeah, go for it.
The whole year, pretty much since week 2 or 3, I'm an ex-Dolphins fan, so I got some Dolphin friends. I believe that, the Dolphins are going to get the first pick and get a quarterback like the guy from, what's his name, man, just played tonight.
The LSU quarterback, yeah.
Alabama, or whichever one, it doesn't matter. So I thought the whole year the Bengals' first win is going to be against the Dolphins. That's I can be wrong. That's my only rhyme and reason. Is because if the Bengals beat the Dolphins, although the Dolphins have won one game, they would then own the tiebreaker over the Dolphins, for that. You know what I mean?
That is a great thought. Yeah, I do hear what you're saying.
Because they're going to have a race for the 2 teams, maybe 3, that go for that number 1 pick.
Mm-hmm.
They're going to make a narrative out of that, too. So, I just had to throw that in there since you guys were talking about that. I think it's something to definitely think about. And if you don't have confidence on the Ravens, maybe that might give you a little more confidence this week,
Yeah.
I don't know when they play the Dolphins. It's probably in a couple weeks.
They play them in week 15. They'd become 1-14 if they won that game.
Oh, if it came down like that?
Right.
I guess maybe my odds are a little slimmer now because I thought maybe they played a little earlier or something. But, yeah, I mean, it's definitely plausible. But I just thought I'd give you a little bit more confidence with the Ravens this week because that's been my thought the whole time.
Yeah, I hear your thought. They have a home game against the Jets. That would be another one they could potentially win. So
yeah, that would ruin it a little bit too, wouldn't it?
If they, what's funny? I'm counting. So if they lost this week, they'd be 0-9. If they lost to the Raiders next week, which I'm sure they will, they'll be 0-10. If they lose to the Steelers after that, they're 0-11. And if they beat the Jets, they're 1-11, and New York's 1-11. So that could be what they do.
Yeah, and who says the number 1 pick has to only win one game? I mean, maybe the Dolphins will win a couple, maybe the Bengals will win a couple, and it'll still come down to them tiebreakers. If the Bengals beat the Dolphins or whatnot. So
yeah,
I just figured it's something to look at,
Yeah, it's a good thought. All right, man, appreciate it.
All right, brother.
All right, see you, man. Yeah, I mean, Ravens probably. I suspect the Ravens will win this game. I just hate that Harbaugh can get his 75th loss. It's just the one red flag that's there. But getting to 4-1, Baltimore's 41. Their next away game is LA. LA 41. We know how much LA in 41 plays. And then that gives them a chance to get to 5-1 away because it's the Rams. Rams is 51. So, and I mean, we're talking about a team that arguably looks like the best team in the NFL right now versus the worst. But you just never know when the NFL is going to pull out their Joker card. So, in all likelihood, the Ravens take that game. All right, Bills and Browns. The way you get the double Buffalo tribute here. Hold on, we got a caller. Caller?
Hey, what's up, Zach?
Hey, man.
Hey, a couple things on this Bengals game. Lamar Jackson, if he does play, he could fall to 5-3, and Ohio is 16, so 53-16 probably.
This is true.
And I also noticed with the Bengals, they kind of got that date numerology written all over them this week because Ohio's 47, the 15 prime, got a 15 date, and Bengals is 60, 60 date, and of course Cincinnati 51. But Zach Taylor, he equals 40 in full reduction, so we also got a 40 date. So just found that interesting, and plus the Bengals at home, they could improve to 1-3, with that Baltimore being 41. So.
Right. Yeah, there are definitely some things there for the Bengals.
I'm thinking they cover, man. I'm thinking they cover because I kind of feel that way about Atlanta, too.
They played the Ravens tough in Baltimore earlier this year.
Right, and they always play them tough, so I don't know. I'm really feeling the Bengals to cover at least.
Well, if I was going to play the Bengals, I would definitely play them to cover. Yeah?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
For sure. Atlanta, too. I don't know if the Atlanta game is next or not, but Atlanta Falcons does equal 239 reverse ordinal, and that's a 50-second prime. So New Orleans could get that 50-second head-to-head loss.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, the Atlanta New Orleans game even looks curious this week. Yeah, so.
Yeah, for sure.
Mm-hmm. All right, man. See. Okay, yeah, the last time the Bengals played the Ravens was Week 6 in Baltimore. The score of that game was 23-17. So, and we have this wild card with Ryan Finley. And again, so far this year, guys making their first start, they're more likely to win than lose. But Baltimore really does look like the premier team in the NFL right now, even though they don't have the best record. They've had the 2 biggest wins in the last 2 weeks. Okay. If the Bengals didn't win, by the way, they'd stay on 83 wins in their stadium, and Ravens equals 83. So that's one thing that could go against the Bengals. Again, we've never really tracked this stadium stats week to week, but this is something I'm going to do for the rest of the season. I think in some cases it's definitely going to help us out. Okay, Bills and Browns game. The way you get the Buffalo tribute in this game is if the Browns win. Well, I should say on both sides, because Buffalo equals 63. The Bills could fall to 6-3. And Buffalo also equals 36. Browns would be 3-6. But of course, Buffalo does also equal 27. And the color brown, the singular, just brown alone is 27 like Buffalo. But they are the Browns. But still just makes me wonder. So, again, Buffalo could fall to 6-3. Cleveland could improve to 3-6, but there is the risk that Cleveland falls to 2-7. And the other thing that stands out here is the Browns have not won a home game yet this year. Odell Beckham's been a big story this week. How he's having a really disappointing season. Of course, he's number 13. And remember, the Browns have multiple connections to 13. Browns equals 91, the 13th triangular number. Cleveland Browns equals 169, which has a square root of 13. First Energy Stadium, where they play, equals 233, which is the 13th Fibonacci number. So, them improving to 1-3 at home, it does have some rhyme and reason to it. Let me see. What concerns me, though, is the Bills could pick up the 10th win against the Browns in Week 10, and we know how the week numbers typically play week after week. Now, on the flip side, if the Bills lose, they're 4-8 at Cleveland. Cleveland's 48, and in the regular season, they'd be 4-7 at Cleveland. Ohio's 47. So looking at the record at Cleveland, it makes more sense if Cleveland wins, but looking at the overall record, 10-11, that's also the date if they win, 11-10, November 10th. So, that's a tough call right there. And Allen, right now, he is 11-8, and he is 4-4 away. Hold on, we got a caller here. Caller?
Hey, Zach.
Hey, Kayla, how are you?
Good, how's it going? I'm about to step away from the computer, so I just wanted to point out some things I've observed about the Packers and Chiefs. So, currently, I have all this from Pro Football Reference. Rodgers has 2,485 yards. Mahomes has 2,180 yards, the difference of 305. Rodgers threw for 305 yards versus the Chiefs on October 27th. And Bart Starr's birthday, January 9th to this Sunday, is 305 days. November 1st is the 305th day of the year, and like callers said earlier, 111 looks a lot like November 10th. Even Curly Lambeau, I looked at his birthday, and to this week is 30 weeks, 5 days. And so 305 is basically 35, so this 35 is really standing out in week 10. It makes me think of the first Super Bowl score, 35-10. And the previous Packers-Chiefs game, the score ended with 55, the total was 55 points. And in words, 55 is 3 out of the same ciphers of 100 spelled out, and inward 305 equals 172 and 260, just like Kansas City Chiefs. And Rodgers was on 172 career games going in to play the Chiefs. And so basically, I'm just seeing all these numbers that make me look at today's date or tomorrow's date as something important, because even the Chiefs founder, Lamar Hunt, from his birthday, August 2nd, to tomorrow is 100 days, like how it's 54 days after Mahomes' birthday tomorrow. And what stands out to me is when you type, so I'm looking at what can they do that's going to be significant, but kind of like the same, the Chiefs and the Packers, and I see that they both can get to 7-3. So I noticed, I don't know, maybe it's just because I'm leaning on them still, but I noticed when you type out Super Bowl rematch, it equals 73 in the pure cipher. And so I don't know, those are just kind of my thoughts. I have a lot more to go with that, but that's just kind of what stands out to me.
Sure, and it is good to remind about the Packers and Chiefs narrative, because it's definitely still there too. It's not out of the question.
Right.
It's a tricky year, so yeah, great observations.
Yeah. All right, well, that's pretty much all I had right now.
Well, I appreciate it. Great work as always. Thank you, Kayla.
All right,
take care.
Thank you.
All right, bye.
Bye.
Okay. So, yeah, the head-to-head record for the Bills and Browns game, it's always nice when it syncs up with both. It's tricky when, one disagrees with the other. And usually when it does come with one disagreeing with the other, it's usually the top one that seems to be the one that pans out, but not always. So, Allen, again, he's 11-8, and we don't have Week 10 numbers there. If he lost, he'd be 4-5 away. Buffalo Bills equals 45 in the most pure cipher, but it does have an S, so it's also 54, so you can make that argument either way. Mayfield, he is 8-13 and 4-5 at home. Buffalo Bills equals 45, the ninth triangular number. He could get his ninth win against them. And actually, I see something else I should have put here. 55 is the 10th triangular number and the 10th Fibonacci number if he got to 5-5 at home. So, whoops. Okay, let's see. 5-5 at home. Okay. So again, Kitchens is 2-6, obviously, just like them. Buffalo's 27-36. The ref in this game, Ron Torbert. The Bills are 1-2 with him. If they lost, they'd be 1-3. It would go in with that 13 theme we were talking about. The Browns, though, are 1-4 with Torbert. Ohio's 47, the 15th prime. You got the 15 date, so that's tricky. Yeah, I really don't feel comfortable picking the Browns to win because they've squandered some decent riddles. And I do think things look a little bit better for them this week, mostly because they can become 1-3 at home, and 13 is, again, a very... I mean, I don't think there's a team that has more connections to 13 than the Browns. So... I'm sure if the Browns do win, Odell Beckham will have a good game. But I'm leaning Browns in this one, but I'm not crazy about it. And again, let's just keep looking at all the games, and we'll try to see if we can figure out like our top 3 games here. Chiefs and Titans. So if the Chiefs win, they're 5-0 away. Big number with the Chiefs. Chiefs is 50. Titans, you can make an argument either way for their home record. Kansas City and Chiefs both equal 32. They could improve to 3-2 at home, or they could fall to 2-3. Titans is 83, the 23rd prime. If the Titans did win, they would be 5-5, like 55, the 10th triangular number in Week 10. The Chiefs, if they lost, they'd stay on 10 wins at the Titans in Week 10. Mahomes, the game's on his 55th day of his age, and his star receiver that wears the number 10, that receiver's name equals 55. So if he's going this week, I imagine they'll have a nice game. Mahomes is 10-3 away, so there is a chance he could stay on those 10 wins in Week 10. But K's the 11th letter, C's the third. 113 shows up with the Royals quite a bit. So, or did I say the Royals? Yeah, it does. It does show up with the Royals, but I mean the Chiefs here, Kansas City, not the Kansas City Royals. So there is a chance he gets to 11-3 away, even though it's Week 10. And the other concern is if Kansas City did lose, they would fall to 6-4, and Kansas City Chiefs is 64 in the most pure cipher. The narrative could be that Mahomes isn't quite, healthy from his injury, even though he's playing this week. And Tannehill, he hasn't been playing too bad since he started with the Titans. Tannehill, his next loss at home is his 19th. Kansas City 67, the 19th prime. Vrabel, the head coach of the Chiefs, is 13-12. If he lost, he'd be 13-13. I was kind of cheating here when I wrote this. KC equals 13, but it does also equal 14. And he could also get his 14th win over KC. And the ref in this game is number 99, Tony Corrente. 99 is the big Mahomes number. Part of Tony Corrente's Gematria is 64, like Kansas City Chiefs is 64. Again, they can fall to 6-4. So essentially, the reason I don't like this week is because if I wasn't looking at Gematria, the outcomes that I would expect this week, it's like the numbers are contradicting my expectations. And anyway, it's just like, I'm thinking, it's possible the Titans could beat the Chiefs, but it's hard to go against the Chiefs. Titans have been real streaky. So Titans have the better numbers, though, for the week. Best thing the Chiefs have going is getting to 5-0 away, because that is a big number with them, but I'd say more actually lines up for the Titans here than the Chiefs. And I'm not really comfortable with picking the Titans to defeat the Chiefs. So, the Titans, by the way, they're 95-73 at this stadium. The next team that they play at the stadium is Jacksonville, and Jacksonville equals 74. So I'm thinking, does that mean that they don't? And again, this is why I wish I'd been paying attention to this stadium stat longer. But it's probably also a part of the reason I'm conflicted on more this week, because I'm looking at more things than I typically do. But it's okay, because it's going to be worth it in the long run. We're going to learn something here. If the Titans do win this week, remember that the next game in this stadium who they host is Jacksonville. Jacksonville's 74. That could be the team to give them the 74th loss. Or if the Titans lose this week, perhaps they stay on those 74 losses against Jacksonville, which is also possible. So anyway, there's quite a few things that line up here for a Titans upset. And let me see if they've given us a line for this game yet. They didn't have one when I built the post. Let's see what they got going on right now. Kansas City is a 6.5-point favorite. So they need to win by a touchdown to cover. Let me update that so we can have that information in there. Let me update that. The over-under's at 49.5. Again, Chiefs is 50. Or hold up. That's missing something, though. There. I'll do it one more time, because I got to have the home and away records in there. And let me actually do one more thing real quick, too, before we move on from this game. I want to go back and see the history of what these teams have done against each other one more time. Okay. The Chiefs have lost 3 in a row to the Titans. One of which was a playoff game. The last time they did beat the Titans was October 6th, 2013 in Tennessee. Let me just see how long ago that was. $318 weeks. That's the reverse of pi number. Looking over here. Chiefs have lost last 3 versus Titans. Last time they won was... It's interesting that the last time they won was October 6th, 106. Tennessee's 106. In Tennessee. 318 weeks ago. Okay. So I'm just going to keep scanning through. The Falcons at the Saints, I mean, you would think that this is just a gimme game. And, let me make sure. Yeah, Matt Ryan is back this week. Just want to make sure that's right. Okay, so you know how I just said 318 is the reverse of pi number? If you divide 22 by 7, you get pi. If you divide 7 by 22, you get the inverse of pi, which is 0.318. And I'm just realizing that now that I said that, this game's on the 314th day of the year, and pi's 3.14. The word circle equals 50, like Chiefs. So I wonder if there is something to the Chiefs, actually. That's interesting. 318 and 314 are both numbers related to pi. Circle equals 50, Chiefs equals 50. I gotta think about that more. Okay, so this Falcons at Saints game, the Falcons are on 51 wins versus the Saints. They can stay parked there on the day, leaving 51 days left in the year. It's the day of this game. The Falcons are 24 and 25 versus the Saints. Wait a minute. Did I get dyslexic here? Hold on. That makes it seem like the Falcons are at home. 1 second. Atlanta Falcons head-to-head, New Orleans Saints at New Orleans. Whoops, hold up. Okay, they've won 25 at the Saints, and they've lost 27. Wait a minute, something's wrong here. One of them's a playoff game. They've won 24 in the regular season. And they've lost... Wait, no. I see what's screwed up here. Hold up. I see what's wrong. Alright. Fix that. Okay, they've lost 25 at the Saints. And 26 through 50. So they've won 25, but one was in the playoffs. So in the regular season, they're 24 and 25 at the Saints, and all time they're 25 and 25. I should say at Saints. All right. I just worded it wrong. Okay, that's right now. Okay, so if the Falcons won, they'd even it up at 25-25. That's a big number at the Falcons. Falcons is 25. Don't forget the 25-point comeback on 2/5 in the Super Bowl, where the Patriots got the 25th Super Bowl for the AFC against the Falcons. So there is a chance they could even it up. There's some symbolism there. But again, there's also a chance that they just stay on the 51 wins on the 51 days left in the year. And again, the day left in the year is usually really important to all these rituals. Just like today, LSU equals 52, Minnesota equals 52. Those two teams had the two biggest storylines of the day in college football. Minnesota and LSU winning. This game's on Quinn's 61st day of his age, the Falcons coach. Louisiana's 61. 61's the 18th prime. His team can fall to 1-8. It's probably what's going to happen. Matt Ryan can also get his 51st away loss on the day leaving 51 days left in the year. That would be all-time, though. It'd be his 51st loss all-time. He can stay on 45 wins as well in the regular season away, and New Orleans is 45. And for his all-time wins, he could stay on 107. Mercedes-Benz Superdome's 107. If Dan Quinn didn't win, he'd stay on 37 wins. Saints is 37. Could stay on 37 all-time losses, but I'll always take the regular season stats first. And Drew Brees, he's on 49 losses all-time at home. Atlanta Falcons is 49. The concern with Brees is he could pick up his 48th home loss in the regular season, and Atlanta's 48. He could also stay on 10 wins at home against the Falcons in Week 10. So that's what makes this game tough, too. It's just like, man, this week. I am leaning Saints, though, because of the head-to-head record and the 51 days left in the year. All things being equal, because it falls on the day leaving 51 days left in the year, I think that's the number that's the most likely to play. And also the fact that it's Dan Quinn's 61st day of his age, the 18th prime, and his team can fall to 1-8. I think those are the strongest narratives. I do worry, though, about Drew Brees picking up that 48th loss. A couple weeks ago, though, Russell Wilson had some similar things going against him against the Falcons, and he handled his business. They beat the Falcons good in Atlanta. If Sean Payton does win this game, he'll get his 126th win in New Orleans. New Orleans is 126. Also, the Falcons are 4-3 with this ref. And if they lost, Saints is 44. The ref's name, Allen, is 44. Georgia, their home state's 44. And, yeah, those are the primary things there. So, I mean, if you're weighing it on the scale, there's more here that stacks against the Falcons. I just hate that Drew Brees can get that 48th loss at home, because that's an Atlanta number. So, it's the one. He could also stay on those 10 home ones. That's just the one other thing to think about. Drew Brees has a couple things that are concerning. Let me double check who the Saints play at home again next. Their next home game's against the Panthers. And, you know, if Drew Brees won this game, actually, never mind. I take it back. It's not true. Panthers has the 47. Gematria, if he was still on the 47 losses. I'll make a note about that. Okay. The Giants and Jets game. What stands out about this game is the stadium, since both of them play in the stadium. Look at this. The Giants are 39-40 at this stadium, and the Jets are 38-39 at this stadium. And what do we know is the New York number? Of course, 39. New York's 39. So if the Jets win, they're 39-39, and the Giants stay on 39 wins. So that really stands out. That looks, 39 is normally the number that hits New York. If the Jets won, they would be 2-5 versus the Giants. The Giants have the better record in the series between these teams, even though, they play in the same stadium, so it's not like it's a real home field advantage. But here, just to show you real quick. Giants, New York Jets. Giants are 8-5 all time. They hold the series edge. At the New York Jets, they've won 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and lost 1. So they could become 5-2, or from the Jets' perspective, 2-5. And again, that's a big number with the Giants. 25, just like this past week at halftime, Monday Night Football, 25 points at the half. So Jets can improve to 2-5 versus the Giants. And if the Jets win, they'd be 2-7. Jets, it equals, they do equal 18, but they equal 27 as well, just like how the Giants come in 2-7. And Shermer's stats have been really consistent this year. Jets do equal 18. He could get his 18th win and stay on 18 losses. But NYC, New York City, battle of NYC. NYC's 42. And let me see, what else was I thinking? Oh, the Giants, next week they play the Bears. If they won, they would be 3-7 going against Chicago 37. So looking a week ahead, that's really the only thing that stands out for the Giants. Shermer's record is somewhat favorable for them, and also who they play next week. But Adam Gase, he can get his 25th win, and his team can become 2-5. And again, Giants and 25, that's a number that plays hard with the Giants. So I'm thinking, looking at the stadium record, how the 39s hit if the Jets win in the Battle of New York, and how, again, they become 39-39 in the stadium, and the Giants stay at 39 wins. I'm thinking that that's the ultimate clue here, because you can make an argument for both coaches, and it's not real clear for either quarterback. Daniel Jones is playing on his 168th day of his age. New York City's 168. It's also 167 days after his birthday, the 39th prime. Again, Battle of New York. But to me, the strongest stats here are the 25 and the stadium. So, but again, the Jets aren't really the kind of team that you want to ride with, So I think they have a little bit better riddle in this Battle of New York, but again, just not the kind of team that you want to build your betting Sunday around. So, Cardinals and Buccaneers. Notice if the Buccaneers win, they're 3-6, and if the Cardinals lose, they're 3-6-1. Cardinals does equal 36, so on the surface, that is what stands out. If the Cardinals lost, they would get their 10th loss to the Bucs in Week 10, and the record would look a lot like the date, 11-10. They become 11-10 on the 11-10 date. And let's see, what else was there? If you use the rule for S, Cardinals does also equal 45. So you could make the argument that the Cardinals could improve to 4-5 instead of 3-6, but the Cardinals in 36 hits more. It's more pure. Plus, both teams can do the 3-6 thing. And the concern in this game is, okay, well, first of all, the game's on Arian's 39th day of his age. Arizona's 39, the opponent that they're facing. And Winston, he could stay on 39 losses facing Arizona, which makes sense. That's a good sign for Winston to stay on the 39. If Winston beat the Cardinals, Winston right now is 0-2 versus the Cardinals. Both of those games were played in Arizona. He's never faced them at home. So if Winston won, he'd be 1-2 versus the Cardinals. Buccaneers equals 37, the 12th prime. Caller?
I don't believe Winston's playing for the Bucs today. Tomorrow.
Really? He's out?
Yeah, they're starting, I think, some guy, Barber the third or something like that.
What happened to Winston? Is he hurt?
No, they're benching him.
Really? Didn't he just play the Seahawks real tough?
I could have sworn I read a stat on a little ticker that said they're starting Barber the third. Winston was
Isn't that their running back? That's their running back's name.
I'll double check again, but I think Winston's out.
All right, here, I'm looking it up right now.
Okay.
Wait. Let's see. "36 minutes ago, Pete Prisco says Jameis Winston will be the Bucs QB in 2020. Okay, what about this week? Well, I don't. Nothing came up about them playing anybody else this week. Let me try it.
All right, I'll hang up and you do your thing, and I'll call back.
All right, man. All right, see you. It looks like Winston's playing because the guy's name who we just said, Barber the Third, that's the running back they have. We talked about him earlier this year. We saw that he was going to be a big riddle on a Thursday night football game. I think it was the one against Carolina. Yeah, it looks like Winston's playing. So anyway, Winston can become 1-2 versus the Cardinals. Buccaneers is 37, the 12th prime. What worries me about Arians is he's on 51 wins. He could stay on those 51 on the day, leaving 51 days left in the year. Then again, he can become 3-6 with Tampa Bay against the Cardinals. Cardinals 36. He could get his 39th loss all time. Again, I'd rather look at the regular season stats, but I mean, it's still there. Arizona's 39. And let's see. The ref in this game, his name equals 84 like Arizona, and I don't normally look at the stadium, so this is if I didn't have this stat right here, I would say I like the Bucs in this game. I would say that the riddle's ultimately better for them. But what trips me out, and since we never looked at the stadiums like this week by week, because I wasn't aware of this resource to get all the teams' records at certain stadiums until last week, but the Bucs could get their 84th loss at this stadium, and Arizona equals 84. So I'm just thinking, God, what are the odds of that they can pick up the 84th loss, and Arizona's that 84 team, so... That's the biggest red flag. But again, if the Cardinals lose, they're 11-10 versus the Bucs. They get that 10th loss in Week 10. Their record would be just like the date. Both teams could be 3-6. Cardinals 36. Winston can stay on the 39 losses. Arizona 39. So the new stadium stat is what's got me second guessing. Also, Arizona's 1-2 in this stadium. If they won, they'd be 2-2. Tampa Bay's 79, the 22nd prime. The Dolphins and the Colts game. Hold on, we got a caller here. Caller?
Okay, so in the Gematria calculator, I typed in the 100 season, and it equals 44. So in the Saints and the Packers equals 44. So I think that's the NFC Championship game.
Yeah, it very well could be. I mean, that wouldn't surprise me if that was the NFC Championship.
With the TH at the end, 100 season, it equals 44. And the Saints and Packers got connection to that number. So I think that's the NFC Championship game.
So does Seattle. Seattle's got the 44 connection too.
Yeah, Seattle too. But since it's the 100 season and Green Bay, since they, the most historic team, I think the Saints beat the Packers at Lambeau Field in the NFC Championship game.
I won't be surprised if the Packers and Seahawks play in the playoffs because they like to pair those teams up. So.
Yeah, but I think the NFC Championship game gonna take place in Green Bay, and the Saints will win in Green Bay. And also, it boosts up Drew Brees' legacy, beating both Aaron Rodgers and Tom Brady.
I have a feeling the Saints will have the better record by the end of the season. I think that game will be in New Orleans, personally. But, yeah, it's very possible that's the NFC Championship.
All right.
So,
yeah, that's all I want to say.
All right, appreciate it, man.
Yeah.
Drew Brees will be 41 years old for that game. Green Bay's 41 too, just like Super Bowl. So that would be a good NFC Championship. Saints and Packers. I could see it. All right, now this game, Jacoby Brissett's not playing this week. Brian Hoyer is. And I just wonder if the NFL could get cute here and give the Dolphins a win. If the Dolphins win, they're 2-7. Miami's 27. Again, the beginning of this season was 103 ritual, 103 ritual, 103 ritual. All those 103s we documented at the beginning of the year, 103 is the 27th prime. If the AFC wins the Super Bowl this year, the AFC and NFC will be tied at 27-27. Miami 27. So notice if Miami wins today, they're wins tomorrow, they're 2-7. And if the Colts lose, they're 5-4, like how Miami's hosting Super Bowl 54. I just wonder if that could be the narrative in light of Jacoby Brissett being out. So, you got 60 date numerology. Indianapolis is 60. The Colts are 27-45 versus the Dolphins in the regular season. They could stay on those 27 wins. The Colts are 15-22 versus the Dolphins at home. So it doesn't sync up with, they could stay on the 15 wins on the 15 date numerology, actually. Colts equals 15. Fitzpatrick, he's 1-5, he's 1-4 at the Colts. If he lost, he would be 1-5. And again, Colts equals 15, but it also equals 24. But you got the 15 date numerology, so that's probably the biggest thing that could go against the Dolphins in this game. Fitzpatrick becoming 1-5 at the Colts. Fitzpatrick could also stay on 51 all-time wins. 51 days left in the year. He's on 51 all-time wins. And wait a minute. Hold up. What did I do? Hold on. Oh, I wrote the wrong... I was confused. I was like, why do I see Gase's name again? I wrote down the wrong name. It should... Flores, that's his name. I wrote Gase instead of Flores. Oh, and I actually did put down Gase's stats. Whoops. Flores is 1-7. That's what it's supposed to say. All right. Gase was the Dolphins coach last year, so anyway. Okay, so if Flores won, he would improve to 2-7. Miami's 27. It's possible. And the ref in this game, Clay Martin, Miami's 0-2 with him. The Colts are 0-1 with him, so neither team has a lot of history, but neither team's won. So the thing that stands out the most is just the fact that you could get a nice little Super Bowl riddle here. And to remind of the history of the Colts, the Baltimore Colts, before they were the Baltimore Colts, the ownership, they had another football team before the Baltimore Colts existed, and they were the Miami Seahawks. That team lasted for 1 year, the Miami Seahawks. They played one season. They were horrible. They folded, and then the same people who set up that team set up the Baltimore Colts, and then that team was successful. So there's a deeper historical link, and I'll just put that point here. Miami Seahawks in history became Baltimore Colts. So that's why I wonder if they could pay tribute to Super Bowl 54 with this game. CBS, the network, equals 6 if the Colts picked up the 6th win. And the other thing was Hoyer, who's filling in for Brissett this week. If he lost, he could become 10-10 at home all time, and he could stay on 10 wins in the regular season as well. So Reich, the coach of the Colts, could also get his 10th loss in the regular season. He could stay on 15 wins on the 15 date numerology as well. So anyway, I mean, there are riddles there this week. It's just like the team. This could be a really crazy week in the NFL. This could be the kind of week where Vegas just makes a killing because, I mean, you see how the numbers are lining up for the teams that you just would not suspect to win. And it's possible that that's just the way the games do play out this week. But, I mean, these are just teams that are tough to believe in. So I don't ever remember decoding a week like this before and just having all these lousy teams have the better edge. That's why I was like, I don't know what's going on. It's Twilight Zone. Caller?
Mr. Zach, I got
my 2 cents in on this game too, brother. The Dolphins are plus 345, and a backup quarterback is in for the Colts.
Right.
That means I think the nation will try to jump on that 345. You see what I'm saying? Everyone's going to go for the 3.5 to 1, and Mr. Hoyer came from the Patriots. They're going to give him a win. You heard it here first, bro.
Yeah, I hear what you're saying. I mean, it does make sense. So
how often does Hoyer get a chance to be under, get a win under Tom Brady's belt? And everybody's going to jump on that 3.5 to 1. Now, there are some people in the chat that say the Dolphins have a chance. Don't let me wreck your narrative, bro. But maybe they will pay it out. But this is coming from a lifelong Dolphins fan. Dolphins are not going to Indianapolis and win because Dan Marino's not there no more.
At the moment, 71% of the money's on the Colts to cover.
To cover?
Yeah. So.
But that has nothing to do with the money line, right? That plus 345.
If the Dolphins cover, Vegas. It could change by game time, but as of right now, if the Dolphins cover, Vegas wins.
Gotcha. See, some of that crap I don't really understand. I mean, I understand it for the most part, bro, but I don't get into the sciences of it. But I'm looking at the 345. If it stays, plus 300 or more, I think the Dolphins are taking an L. That's just my gut instinct. I don't want to ruin nobody's parlay, though. But
I'm not putting together any parlays this week. This is out of all the years I've ever done this is the worst week I've ever seen for the NFL. I hate it this week.
This is like the in the weeks where they start screwing everybody in their fantasy leagues and playoff pushes, and then like the good teams start losing, and I've seen that stuff last year and the year before, and about every year. So I won't call in 20 times, bro. You talked about my ex-team in Indianapolis. I used to go to those games every year. I do not think Dolphins are going into Indianapolis and beating them. It ain't happening.
Well, if Hoyer throws balls to the secondary like he did last week, it could happen. So
he had a bad week last week?
He came in last week and ruined the game.
Okay, well, that's not happening against... Okay, then that just means they're going to put him over this week.
It could be.
It's the Dolphins, dude. They're going to give up like 3 80-yard plays.
Well, they could. We'll see. All right. Appreciate it, Rich.
Yes, sir.
All right, take care, man. See you. Yeah, I'm just looking at that record, though, and I'm going, man, 27-54, those are the numbers coded all over the Super Bowl this year. So, and you got 2 teams that have Miami connections. Okay, Panthers and Packers. It looks like this could be an upset here for the Panthers, but the Packers have one key stat that's got me apprehensive. So, Panthers are 6-8 versus the Packers in the regular season. Green Bay Packers is 69 in the most pure cipher, but it does have an S in it, so it's also 78, so you can make sense of a 6-9 or 7-8 record. This game is 307 days after Ron Rivera's birthday. That's the 63rd prime. Remember last week how the 63s played on the 307th day of the year last Sunday. Caller?
Hey, one quick thing, Zach. I just typed in upset week, and it equals 118. So with the football week pretty much starting on a Saturday, and today's the 9th, right? I'm tripping.
Tomorrow will be the 10th. Yeah.
All right. Damn. Okay. I'm wild. Never mind.
That's okay. No worries, man. Appreciate it.
All right. Yep.
Caller?
What's going on, Zach? How you doing?
Well, I'm doing all right, man, but I'm frustrated with this NFL week because I'm having trouble picking games here. What do you see?
Right. Man, I like the Giants, man. I believe it has something to do with that black cat riddle because what I've seen, and I hate that you like the fucking Jets, man, because it's crazy, man. It's contradictive. It's like I decode something and I like something for me, then you'll decode it, then sometimes you'll be right, and sometimes I'll be right.
Sure.
So it's like, man, it's crazy. But Man, the score of the Dallas Cowboys game was 37-18.
Right.
So the Giants can make the Jets 1-8, and they can become 3-7.
That's
and
true.
The Black Cat came on the field. Like you said, it was 55 points. So when you put that Gematria in, and then it gave you the 130 something to 38 prime. So I'm thinking they was just telling you that the Giants gonna win. Then on top of that, Zach, I remember like maybe 4 weeks ago, maybe 3 or 4 weeks ago, you had Miami beating the Jets because you was like, I like the Jets to lose against Miami to go 1-8 because Jets equals 18.
Right.
Now it's like you kind of ignoring that. You feel me? It's like it's crazy, man.
Well, Jets equals 27 though too. What tipped me on this game was, did you see how I was saying the stadium record? How the Jets would be 39-39 at their stadium, and the Giants would stay on 39 wins? Because just the Cat, when it came on the field, the score was 3-9. That's the New York number 3-9.
Right. I mean, when you put that out there, I hated that because you never decode fields, but you have to with this game by being the Battle of New York. So I understood why you did that, but I mean, it just really threw me out because I was gonna go big on the Giants tomorrow, man. It's like, man, you don't put that in my ear, so it's like, man, if I do go big and I lose, I feel like a fool. But if the Giants win tomorrow, it's like.
Exactly, man. I get it. It's a tough spot. I hear what you're saying about the 18-37 score in the records. I mean, that does make a lot of sense, but man, New York and 39, I mean, sometimes a 39 riddle fails with New York, but the majority of the times they come through. Honestly, hey, I don't want to take you off your game. You're doing great, but I don't feel like going big on anything this week in football. In fact, I almost feel like just packing it all in for this week and just waiting for next week, as tight as these games are.
Right.
So,
but I know it's like the last 3 weeks. It's been like just 2-3 team parlays. Even though we've been doing good all during the weeks, but my whole thing is I just really like the Giants. I've been looking at this game all week, and it's like the Redskins got a bye week this week, and they already parked at 1-8. Jets equals 18. So it's like I feel like both of them teams gonna go in that to week 11, 1-8, and Jets equals 18. It's like how did you pay? And then the Giants go play Chicago, 37, and if they lose against Chicago, they'll be 3-8. Giants is 38. So it's like I really love the Giants, but it's like now that you put that riddle in my face, it's like now it's like it's gonna be a long night, man. It's BS, man.
Well, think about it this way, Rod. I mean, there's so many games right now, right? There's so many games, and there's some riddles that are really good, like in basketball and hockey. So, and then I'm going to do more games tomorrow for basketball and hockey. So, I mean, I don't feel like you have to go big on this game. But again, you're doing great. So, I mean, do what you want. If the Giants do win, they will be 3-7, and they do play Chicago next, and Chicago's 37. So, I mean, you could be right about that.
Right, and they go to Chicago. They just got their running back bad. I mean, Jets been, man, they've been backwards, man. They've been really, really bad. But I ain't gonna lie, you can't ignore that 39. Is that the modern day or playoffs?
That's in this stadium? So just so everyone knows, this is how you get to. Here, I'll put this in the chat right now. Martin found this last week, but it's a tool on Pro Football Reference, and it has every single NFL stadium in the history of the league. So you can even look at stadiums that aren't even used anymore. But I just went through and looked at every. It's real easy to use. So I'll link this in the chat. But here, MetLife Stadium. So you just click on MetLife Stadium, and then we're up at the top. It says 155 games have been played there. So you click on that, and then it shows every single team's record in that stadium. And the Giants are 39-40 in the stadium, and the Jets are 38-39. As soon as I said that, I was like, wow. So 39 can hit 3 ways if the Jets win.
Yeah, I mean, I heard it. I definitely heard it, and that's what kind of made me mad because it's like, wow, man. It's like I was really pinned in on the Giants, man. It's like now I can't even. I can't really bite the hand that fed me. You feel me? I can't go against you. I can only just like not play it, and then it's like if they hit tomorrow, it's like I'm gonna be really looking mad, man.
I know, man. I know, but think about it. There are a million games to choose from right now, so
yeah, I'm not tripping. I ain't tripping. I'll be back in Vegas for 2 days next week, so I leave next Sunday night. So I'm not tripping, man. But damn, I was gonna go big tomorrow, Zach, because I did take a loss, man. I've been taking a loss the last 2 days, man. I've been taking brutal losses, man. Like the Raiders game, they missed the extra point. I had Raiders -2.5. Raiders missed the extra point, win by 2. And then yesterday, college basketball, I had Vermont -3.5. They lose by 2. I mean, they give it's a 4-point game, and with 2 seconds left, they try
somebody throw the ball in inbound and lose and turn over and then lay up at the last minute, at the last second.
Brutal.
And they can't foul them or nothing. The game goes over, I lose. So 2 back-to-back ugly losses. And I was
Oh, shoot. His phone disconnected. Sorry about that, Rod, man. Rod's been doing really well, but the last 2 days, I guess, got him on nail biters. So you can call back, Rod. Sorry about that. I don't know, for some reason it disconnected, but yeah. I don't know. If you've had 2 bad days, I personally wouldn't force it with this Giants-Jets game. So he could have the right call. I'll put this note here because he did make a good point about the last game. Giants lost 18-37 on Monday Night Football. That is true. If Giants won, Jets would be 1-8, and Giants would be 3-7. So that is a good observation. Caller?
Hey, what up, Zach?
Hey, what's up, man?
Hey, so the Giants game, and so the word is out. The cat is still out there. It's just a great, it's just a good title for one of your videos. You put that video. I watched it. The cat, you should have put who let the cat out of the bag, and then you put your name, Zachary. Kind of, you let the cat out of the bag. But
right.
So the Giants play. This is going to be their back-to-back Monday nights, and for some reason they're going to have the Jets. It's going to be a home game for the Jets. They both play in the same stadium, so it's going to be a home game from the Jets. And as far as for the guy to call, I don't know. If I was close to that betting window and I had to bet the Giants and the Jets, I wouldn't walk away. I'll run away. It's not about when you're betting, about betting 2 bad teams. I'd rather not bet at all. That's just me.
Sure.
So the Giants and the Jets, they're going to be playing, and they're going to have some salute to service and ceremony. And look, this is it might be leaning Giants. During the halftime, there will be a salute to service field challenge. And Steve Castleton, the Jets military liaison, will be sworn in as a civilian aide to the Secretary of the Army. So, ceremony right there. So, I don't know. But that's also one last thing. Also, you're right about the backups. The backups for the NFL. Let me see something I saw. So, yeah. So far this season, 35 games have been played by backup quarterbacks. And the teams are 20-15 in those games.
Mm-hmm.
So, backup quarterbacks are winning. And that's all I got for today.
Where did you go to find that stat about the backups records for the season?
Well, I like to read a lot of articles, and one came up in the Google News. NFL teams have a winning record when playing their backup QB this year. And it's actually profootballtalk.nbcsports.com.
Okay, I'll find that. Appreciate it, Z. Thanks, man.
All
right, take care.
Bye.
Caller?
Hi, Zach. It hit me last week, and that this week is the 314th day, and 3.14 is pi.
Right.
Does that enter into anything and make them it's all weird?
The Chiefs game is the one where the pi riddle stood out. Because it's been 318 weeks since the Chiefs beat the Titans, and pi is 3.14, and the inverse of pi ends up being 0.318. So there's something going on with that game. The word circle equals 50, like the word Chiefs. If the Chiefs win, they're 5-0 away. So I was looking for the pi riddles, but that was the only thing that I caught.
Right. I just thought that in itself might be what's screwing everything up and making it look so wonky.
It could be because this I was at first I was thinking this was going to be a really easy week because of the pi thing. I thought all sorts of pi things would stick out, but they haven't. So, but yeah, this week is weird.
Okay, well that's all I have, dear.
All right, I appreciate it. Thanks for the call.
You're welcome.
All right, take care. Yep, bye. Okay, so yeah, I hear Rod on the Giants and the way the Jets are playing, but man, and again, if I hadn't looked at the stadium thing, I wouldn't even know about this, but it could end up being a lifesaver, or it could end up being the thing that makes us pull our hair out. And again, because I've never looked at this stadium before, I mean, we're going to find out this week if this is something we need to look at or if this is just extra information that's really not that helpful. So, anyway. What we'll know, though, is if the Jets do win this game and, say, the Cardinals win their game, then we know that the stadium thing is on point. Because, like we just said in the Cardinals and Bucks game... Hold on. We got another call here. Caller?
Damn, Zach. Damn. Because I've been on this on the 18 and the 1 in the 8 for the Jets because they're going to win the division next year, I think. So I pointed this out 2 weeks ago. So now you come up with this home stadium record.
But you can't deny it, though, can you, man? I mean, New York in 39, we know that hits like a mother, so...
It does, but there's something else that's not being talked about. Look at Gase's regulation record.
He can get that 25th win.
He can also get that 33rd loss.
33rd, New York 33. This is true. So.
Yeah. Man. Fuck that.
Yeah, I'm telling you, man. This is a good week to just keep your money in your pocket with the NFL. It is.
It's interesting. As you know, I'm on the Colts. I was just surfing the web, and Colts to go to the Super Bowl. Them or the Texans. But I'm searching the web, and then I see an article: 4 out, 7 questionable.
Who's out?
4 out, 7 questionable. It was on the Indy City or Indy Wire, some article like that. So if you look at the record, the Colts have 47 losses against Miami all time.
Right.
So I'm like, shit, that sucks because I did all this research on Hoyer starting this game and him losing. So that's got me like up in the air.
I see. So you've been saying that you think the Colts losing this game would actually be a favorable sign for them to end up in the Super Bowl because of the 54-27 thing?
Absolutely, and I'm looking for a score of 41 points scored in this game.
Okay.
That's my thinking. And then also, I mean, I've done a lot of research, as you know, with the Colts team. Even going back to 1959 with the Green Bay Bears and LaFleur making history for the first time since Lombardi beating the Bears since 1959. Baltimore beats New York in the Super Bowl. Baltimore's related to Indianapolis Colts, as you told me, from 1988. Jacoby, 54 days to the Super Bowl from Miami. I mean, there's a lot that lines up, in my opinion. But that Popeyes article, for me, that symbolizes the death of the Saints and the Ravens going to Miami. Because if it was a stabbing death, correct?
Right.
So for me, New Orleans and Baltimore are dead to go to Miami. That's the way I'm reading it.
I don't know. The story reminds me of the dead body on the overpass near Colorado Street in California. I have to go back in that story, but it's the year that it was part of the thing that helped me figure out the Broncos and Panthers Super Bowl in October.
Oh yeah, I remember that.
So.
God, I mean this year is very, very, very tricky, and in my opinion, the first round. I keep saying the first round in the AFC is going to tell you who's going to Super Bowl.
Yeah, you could be right about that. So
all
right, man.
What's up. All right, Zach.
All right, appreciate it.
Yeah.
Okay, so where were we? We were just talking. Okay, Panthers and Packers. This is where we were. All right, so this game's 307 days after Ron Rivera's birthday. That's the 63rd prime. Remember last week, Sunday was the 307th day of the year. Every game that could do the 6-3 thing did, except for the Seahawks game. So Panthers can improve to 6-3, 307 days after Ron Rivera's birthday. If they did win, they'd be 4-1 away. Green Bay's 41. If the Packers lost, they'd be 7-3. Packers is 73. Carolina's 73. So right there in the record, I mean, there's a lot that makes sense with the Panthers winning this game. The head-to-head record you can make sense of either way. And Allen, he's 6-1 right now, 4-1 away. If he won, he'd be 7-1. Lambeau Field 71. If Rivera won, he'd get his 77th win in Green Bay. Green Bay's 77. The one thing that could go against him is the 60 date numerology. He could get his 60th loss, but the Gematria usually comes through above the date numerology. Caller?
Yeah, so I know, this week is a rough week, Zach. As far as like making picks, it's a lot of tight riddles. It's pretty hard. But I wanted to share something funny that happened to me last week. I put in a $2 parlay last week, and all I literally did was just bet against the public, and it hit. And I turned $2 into 140. So if there's people out there that just want to try something, just bet against the public and see what happens. Sometimes it works.
So what did you do? If you just went against, I guess just every single bet you just said the public's heavy this way, I'm going this way.
Well, all I did was I bet because I look at the pregame website that you look at, and so what I did was it's actually only 5 teams. So I only picked 5 teams. 5 teams for $2 gave me 140. That's great odds. It's only 5 teams because essentially I had 3 underdogs and 2 unders, over and unders, and it was all against the public betting. I had the because I remember last week at first I was thinking the Packers would win, which they didn't win. The Chargers upset them. Then it was between the Browns and the Broncos. I picked the Broncos, and then it was between the Ravens and the Patriots, and I picked the Ravens. So it was all 3 underdogs, and then I had the under on the Chargers game, and I had the over on the Broncos game. And when I went to pregame, all I did was look at the numbers across the board. So more people had more money on the opposite of what I picked,
Right.
And then I just put that together into one. So
Yeah.
like I said, if the bettors want to give it a chance, just throw like $2 to $5 and just bet against the public. Pick like 4 or 5 teams and just bet it. You never know. Could win.
All right, man. Appreciate it. Take care.
All right.
What's up, Dave?
Hey, what's going on, Zach?
What do you got, man?
Hey, I know I'm probably interrupting something. I know that the delay on the YouTube is pretty bad, but I was calling in to say I was going to give you my pick on the Super Bowl team for this year.
Okay.
And I'm basing it off of the World Series. Now, if we could have looked into the future and just looked at, not even looked into the future when the playoffs started, and looked into which NBA teams was playing during the World Series, and especially if it would have went to a Game 7, we would have, easily came up with Washington Nationals and the Houston Astros.
Right.
We you got it, by not you figured out by not going that route. But I looked at the NBA schedule for Super Bowl Sunday, and I looked at the what teams were playing, and the only 2 teams that was playing that made sense to play in the Super Bowl on that day, if we were to reference it back to the World Series and NBA teams, is
New Orleans and Houston.
Pelicans is playing
Houston.
the Houston Rockets.
Right. Right. And they just used the Rockets in the World Series ritual. Yeah, I hear you. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and they just used the Houston Rockets in the World Series ritual. Yeah, I see what you're saying.
Yeah. So I'm picking the Houston Texans and the Saints.
The Texans are an interesting team. They're an interesting team. They got a black quarterback.
Yeah.
They got a connection to the Kansas City Chiefs. So yeah.
And the Texans go in with that Dallas Cowboy, Kansas City Chiefs riddle too.
Right, they do. This is true. Yeah.
So that's I just look forward and look ahead and just saw what teams are playing, and that's what popped out there.
I actually looked at that too, and the main thing that stood out to me was that New Orleans was playing that day. But you're right; it could mean that they do play the Texans. That would be interesting. So I'll have to consider that more. Yeah, it's a great point.
Okay, Zach.
All right, man. Take care. All right. Okay, so back to this Panthers and Packers game. Okay, so we were saying, again, there's a lot of things on the surface that look good for the Panthers. Kyle Allen, if he won, his record could make sense at Lambeau Field. Ron Rivera could get that 77th win at Green Bay where 77 plays big. There is 60-date numerology. He could get the 60th regular season loss as well. And again, well, we covered all that. The Packers, on their side of the equation, Rodgers could get his 60th loss in the regular season on the 60-date numerology, so the 60 could also go against him. If he got his 67th loss all time, I suppose North Carolina equals 67, where the Panthers come from, Charlotte, North Carolina. And the only thing that I really saw that looked good for the Packers was through the ref. And I don't know if I would take the ref over these other stats. The Panthers are 11-7 with this referee. If the Panthers lost, they'd be 11-8. And remember, Wisconsin equals 118. The Packers' establishment date is August 11th, 118. We've seen that number a lot in sports this year. However, if the Packers lose, they're 4-4. Packers is 44, and I believe week 10. I'm getting confused with college football. It's week 11. That's 44. That's college football. Okay, never mind. So if the Packers lost, they're 4-4. Packers is 44, but if they won, they're 5-3. Carolina's 53, so you can make the argument either way there. If Carolina won, they would be 3-4 at Green Bay's field. Green Bay equals 139, the 34th prime, so being 3-4 there could make some sense. Honestly, I think more goes for the Panthers in this game than the Packers. And Packers are tough to go against at home, but the riddle does look better. And I just wanted to see who these teams play again next. Packers are at the 49ers and then at the Giants. So it doesn't really make more sense one way or the other if they win or lose. And again, who do the Panthers play again next? Panthers. They're at the Saints next. Yeah. And it's not real clear either about their next away opponent. Falcons. If the Panthers won their next two games, they would get to 7-3. Again, Carolina's 73. They do it over the Falcons at home, which is likely. So, personally, I think the Panthers got a better narrative here. But again, Packers are a tough team to go against at home, but again, I think the Panthers got the better riddle. 6-3, 307 days after Ron Rivera's birthday, 4-1 away in Green Bay, and all the other little things we talked about. The Rams and the Steelers. I noticed if the Steelers win this game, they'll be 5-4, and so will the Rams. Again, obviously a big number this year. Recall the death of Darryl Drake, the receivers coach for the Steelers. His name equaled 54. He died on August 11th, which is the Packers' establishment date. Outside of the 5-4 thing, if the Rams won, they'd be 4-1 away. LA's 41. And if the Rams lost, they'd be 5-7-1 at the Steelers. Rams does equal 57. It's probably the most standout thing in the head-to-head. If the Rams did lose, they'd get the 10th loss all time. These teams met in the Super Bowl once, Super Bowl 14. Pittsburgh won that 31-19. Steelers is 31. Pittsburgh's 50-50 combined points, so you can see how they put that score together. Goff, he has a chance at his 30th win. Steelers equals 113, the 30th prime. And so does McVay. McVay would get his 30th win as well. So it is a good team to get the 30th win against. McVay, he could stay on 31 all-time wins against the Steelers, but again, I'd rather look at the regular season. Caller?
Back to that Packers and Panthers game. If Green Bay wins, they become 5-1 at home, and Lambeau Field equals 233 to 51st prime.
You're right about that. I overlooked that. That is true. That's a good catch. So, all right, appreciate that.
Yeah.
All right. Caller?
Yeah, I just wanted to add a little bit on that Green Bay Panthers game.
Go ahead.
You were pointing out that 73 Packers and Carolina equals 73.
Mm-hmm.
That would give the Packers an apparent loss with a 7-3 record.
Uh-huh.
Also, after their bye week, they go against San Francisco. The date on that 11/24/2019 equals 74.
So they could fall to 7-4.
They could fall 7-4 against San Francisco. That could also, depending on how the next 2 weeks go with San Francisco, it might give them an 11-0 record at the end of that game.
Sure, that's possible.
So, but I don't know. I was kind of trying to take a look at the next 2 games for the 49ers. I think they're going against the Seahawks and then against the Cardinals.
I think that's right. Phoenix is 91. They technically they're not the Phoenix team anymore. They play in Glendale.
Right. I don't know though, but it kind of looks tough there. I can't really make a good decision on that, but it looks a little bit iffy if they're going to maintain their undefeated streak. But if they do, 7-4 is a good predictor for the future. For the Packers loss and for 11-0 streak for the 49ers.
Yeah, that is a really good point you made there about the 74 date numerology of the next game. Yeah, that's a good catch.
Yeah,
so.
I was questioning you on your prediction on the outcome of the Carolina and Packers game, but looking back on it again and doing a little bit of in-depth little meditation on the whole thing with the numbers, I start leaning your way. And I think the Panthers are going to take this one, especially based on the number of the future games.
Sure, and I mean, because you got to say, what are the odds? What are the odds that it's 307 days after Ron Rivera's birthday, the 63rd prime, and his team can go 6-3?
Yeah, that's a good point. And there's a lot of numbers that can go either way between these two teams. So it's kind of like they cancel each other out in a way. So you got to find out which one weighs heavily more.
Well, things like, to me, Green Bay in 77, that number shows up all the time. So that was one of the first things I saw when I was just putting down the initials. I was like, oh, look at that. Rivera can get his 77th win in Green Bay.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. But, don't know.
Yeah. Tight week.
I'm pretty confident. I think I'm going to put my money down on the Panthers for this one. I think, I'm a Green Bay fan, too. I mean, for years I've been a Green Bay fan.
That's a tough thing to do.
I think the reason why I was contesting you in the beginning is because of that tribalism, that fandom that I have for the Packers. So it's kind of like I'm lusting for that result.
Sure.
So I'm looking for the numbers that I want to see.
Sure. That's one thing that's true about me is I'm neutral. I'm not a fan of any of these teams. So.
Yeah, didn't you used to be like a fan of Ohio, like Cleveland?
No, my dad's a 49ers fan.
Oh, okay. Because I think I remember listening to you talk about when you used to watch basketball, and
I grew up in Portland. If there's any basketball team I'd cheer for, it'd be the Blazers. I'm from Portland,
right.
So.
Okay, yeah, because like who is it? LeBron James. You can't even breathe on him, or else.
Oh, Jordan! I was talking about Jordan, man. Jordan. I hated Michael Jordan growing up.
That's right. It was Jordan.
Yeah.
Yeah, I noticed that too. You know, it's like he could do no wrong. You can't even touch him.
Right. Yeah. That's how it was.
But also, I wanted to say a little bit of something about that Lions and Packers game with the two bad calls. If you look up the numbers on that, because when I looked up the numbers, I couldn't see the game going either way until I saw the outcome, and I said, okay, what does was it field goal equals? You know, like I looked up the numbers: field goal, the names, the words field goal, penalties, and bad calls. And they all came up with numbers that favored the Packers win and the outcome of that game.
Huh. Interesting.
So, like, when I saw that, and also, what was it? I think it was, I'm not sure if it was 36 or 63. Some other number played a factor in there. I can't remember. It's off the top of my head. But yeah, look up penalties, bad calls, field goal, which was the winning field goal by Mason Crosby.
Okay.
And you'll see like the numbers. Some of the numbers tie in to the outcome of the game. So it's like they didn't have any real numerological numbers, or any numbers to actually tie into the outcome from the onset. So they had to rig it with a scripting.
Huh.
So that's why they put in the bad calls. That's my theory.
Well, that's interesting. Yeah, you could be right about that.
I mean, sometimes I think most of it plays out, naturally if the gematria lines up just right.
Mm-hmm.
But sometimes if it doesn't, they'll help it along.
Sure. Yeah, could be right about that.
Whether they're using bad calls or technology or what have you.
Sure. All right, man. I appreciate it.
All right, thanks a lot.
All right. Yeah, take care.
All right. Bye.
Yeah. The way they rig the games in college is easy to see. I mean, that last touchdown by Alabama at the end of the game, I mean, that's all the coaches right there. Why would you ever have your player in that? And like they said, he's like the young freshman guy, inexperienced. Why would you have him in that coverage? It's Tecmo Bowl purposefully calling the wrong play. Anyway, I do think the Panthers got the better narrative. If I was going to play this game, I would definitely take those 5 points. I would definitely take those 5. It's tough to go against the Packers, though, on their home field. So, all right, we were talking Rams-Steelers. I went back and looked at the death of Daryl Drake because his name equaled 54. Caller?
Hey, I overlooked something in Brian Hoyer's stats. I forgot to look at his record against the Dolphins.
I forgot to do that, too.
So I'm going to retract my statement on I'm looking for them to lose, because if they win, he's 4-1 against Miami.
And what do you see in that?
41 Super Bowl. The last Super Bowl they won was Super Bowl 41 as well.
They would be 4-1 with a home record, I believe, too, the Colts, if they won.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that. Yeah, I just looked at Brian Hoyer's stats versus the Dolphins. I forgot to do that.
Yeah, he is 3-1 versus the Dolphins. This is true, so he'd be 4-1. And let me see.
The last Super Bowl they won was 41. And then I did some gematria with Super Bowl 54.
The first game he ever played against the Dolphins, the score was 41-14. That game was at Miami. He's 2-0 at home versus the Dolphins. 2-0 at home, 3-1 overall.
Yeah, 3-0, yeah. That's Colts.
Yeah. Let me plug that in here.
And then he's coming in with, against Miami, 30, I think it's 30 complete passes, if I'm not mistaken. He's got a 30 in there. I just looked at it.
Okay, yeah, interesting.
Yeah, well, what is it? Oh, yeah, there you go. He's coming with 30 completions, 62 attempts. Yeah, that's what it is.
Okay, yeah.
Okay, so yeah, I'm going to retract that statement. I told to look at his record against Miami.
All right, yeah, good observation. Appreciate it, man.
All right, you got it.
All right, see you. That is interesting that the first game versus the Dolphins, he won with 41 points. Then he could get to 4-1. And if he did get to 4-1, his team would also become 4-1 at home, the Super Bowl number. And Colts are an interesting team. Again, the Super Bowl is on the 54th day of Jacoby Brissett's age. So, all right, the Rams and Steelers game. Again, Daryl Drake, the receivers coach, his name equaled 54. He died on August 11th this year, just shortly before the season began. His death was 91 days ago, the 13th triangular number, in light of them playing LA 13. So like we said, if the Rams lost, they'd get their 10th all-time loss against the Steelers, and both teams would be 5-4. Goff, though, and McVay can pick up their 30th win, and the Steelers are a good team to do it against because Steelers is 1-1-3, the 30th prime. Mason Rudolph. Hold on, we got another caller. Caller?
Martin wanted one of us to call in and look at his link. I don't think he can call in right now.
All right.
He said it twice. So
I see it. I see
helped
it.
him out.
I see it.
Said it's very important that you do that. And I went, my first ever Dolphins-Colts game, Harbaugh beat Marino 41-0. We should decode the old games, Zach. Like back in the 80s and in the 90s. Have you ever sat around and did that?
Well, I've gone back through and looked at old Super Bowl games. That's how I figured out how to predict games, was just looking at the old games first.
Oh, you looked way older? Okay. Yeah, I just, some of the riddles we see like now in the last 6 years, I'm just interested in seeing, what could all be dug up back then. But well, maybe we can cover that sometime. But yeah, I was just helping Martin out. He said something about using this link for the all Packers games, so it might be a good idea. Who knows? Check her out.
Okay, yeah, I got it up on the screen right now.
Thanks, brother. I tried to call in a million times. I just wanted to help him out.
Yeah, no, it's good. He gets good information. All right, thanks, Rich.
Thank you, brother.
All right, see you. All right, this says the Packers. It says Green Bay is 4-2 at home against the Packers, including playoffs. So if they lost, they'd be 4-3. I think Panthers is 43. Football's 43. Yeah, Panthers is 43. What did I have written down? Yeah, I have that information here. Hold on. Where did that link just go? The Packers have scored 30-plus points in 5 of 6 home games against the Panthers. Aaron Rodgers started 5 games against the Panthers in his career and averaged 304 passing yards. Let's see. The Packers have won the game heading into the bye week in 3 of the last 4 years. Okay. Is there a certain stat that Martin wants us to clue into here? Because to me, all the key stats that we look at week after week, the majority of them point in favor of the Panthers. Okay. The last time they met was December 17th, 2017 in Carolina. Panthers won that game 31-24. All right, here, I'm going to put this link in here. I'm going to add this link to part of the decode. But again, ultimately what I like is that Carolina and Packers both equal 73, and the Packers can fall to 7-3, and again the Panthers can get to 6-3, 307 days after Ron Rivera's birthday. 307-63. We used that number for the Super Bowl. We used it last week. So, all right, Mason Rudolph, coming back to this Rams-Steelers game. You have a riddle for Goff and McVay to pick up their 30th win versus the Steelers, but Mason Rudolph, he can also become 4-1 at home versus LA, and then again, both teams would be 5-4. And it might be a tribute to Darryl Drake, who died just before the season began, the Steelers coach. So, again, this week, it's just like, ugh. The Rams, with the ref on the field. Okay. I just got a note here that says food is ready. All right. The Rams are 2-0 with this ref. If they won, they'd be 3-0, which would fit in with a 30 theme that goes with Goff and McVay. Again, Steelers 1-1-3, the 30th prime. The Steelers are 0-1 with this ref. And stadium record, nothing really screamed out to me. The Vikings and Cowboys Sunday Night Football. I imagine Dallas will become 4-1 at home. Dallas and 41, always a good combo. 41's the 13th prime. Dallas is also 13. And the Vikings, they could get their 13th loss versus the Cowboys in the regular season in Dallas. Dallas 13, perfect place to get it. Kirk Cousins, you can make an argument for him either way. He can get his 41st win or loss in the regular season, so that's neutral. If Cousins lost, though, he has a horrible history against the Cowboys. He's 1-6. If he lost, he'd become 1-3 at Dallas. Dallas equals 13 in the most pure cipher. That's the number that typically plays for Dallas. It does have an S, so it is also 22. But I'm leaning towards Cousins falling to 1-3 at Dallas. And then Prescott in the regular season can get his 38th win. Minnesota's 38, always a big number with Minnesota. Think about how many riddles we've gotten right this year with Minnesota in 38. If you look at his all-time stats, he could stay on 38 all-time wins, but again, the regular season stats are always better when you have a narrative with the regular season. The only time I go to the all-time is if there's nothing there with the regular season. So Prescott getting his 38th win against Minnesota, that's there. Again, Dallas 41, they can improve to 4-1 at home. Jerry Jones equals 63. I mean, they show him every single game. His team can become 6-3 with a win. The concern, of course, for the Cowboys would be falling to 5-4 in the year of Super Bowl 54. But I don't think every team's going to hit 5-4 that can. And this ref, the Cowboys are 2-0 with this ref. Dallas is 1-1-3 the 30th prime. They can become 3-0 with them. The Vikings have never had him before. I guess Garrett can pick up his 83rd win in the regular season with number 83 on the field. The ref's number 83. So sometimes that matters. The other week it was, ref number 126, and Phillip Rivers got his 126th win, something like that. The Cowboys are 50-38 in their stadium, so they can stay on 38 losses against Minnesota. Minnesota's 38. They can pick up the 51st win on the day, leaving 51 days left in the year. The only thing that you have to think twice about with that is it is Sunday Night Football. SNF is 39. If it wasn't Sunday Night Football, I wouldn't even be thinking twice about this. But, I mean, if you're weighing what we just went through on the scale, it weighs a lot better for the Cowboys here. So, again, Vikings get the 13th loss in the regular season. Cousins falls to 1-3 at the Cowboys. Prescott gets his 38th win in the regular season. Dallas improves to 4-1 at home. The team's 6-3. Again, I could see that being a tribute to Jerry Jones. He's the most celebrated team owner in the league. And again, staying on 38 losses, picking up the 51st win on the day, leaving 51 days left in the year. I think that that's the most one-sided riddle out of all the games this Sunday. So I'm favoring the Cowboys there. Just could they get the 39th loss on SNF? I mean, 39 does play hard on Sunday Night Football, but still, everything else, I think that's the stronger riddle. And then Monday Night Football, I would just wait on Monday Night Football as tight as this week's been. Again, what we've done well with is counting up the home team records going into Monday night, and those riddles have been hitting. So I imagine that by the conclusion of all the games on Sunday, we'll get a nice stat that'll give us something to lean on in this Seahawks and 49ers game. And just for what we have to look at right now, the Seahawks are 10-9 at the 49ers. So if they lose, they'd be 10-10 at the 49ers to conclude Week 10. And Russell Wilson, if he lost, he'd get his 39th loss in the regular season. 49ers equals 39. And again, for people who are new here, I want to tell you something about the calculator. Notice this when I write in 49ers. You see these numbers? You don't see a 39. But look at what happens if I get rid of the 49. When this website was originally built, if you would have typed in 49ers, this is what you would have got. But the person who built the calculator, he decided that he wanted it to show the number values. But if you read any book that's published on Gematria, it'll tell you that if there's numbers in the sentence, you shouldn't count the number values. You can, but it's kind of taboo. So 49ers really has these Gematria values in the primary cipher. Now, 55 does play with the 49ers, and we've documented that many times over the years, so that's how I know it also does matter with the numbers, but these numbers matter with the 49ers too. So just remember that if you have numbers in a word, type it without the numbers, but also look at it with the numbers. So anyway, 49ers is 39. Russell Wilson can get his 39th loss in the regular season. If Wilson does lose, he'll be 4-4 at San Francisco. Seattle's 44. And the best narrative going for Seattle is just their team record. They're 7-2. If they won, they would be 8-2. Seattle equals 82, and they'd become 5-0 away. San Francisco equals 50. Remember a couple weeks ago, Kyle Allen had a 50 riddle if he won in San Francisco, but he lost. And I forget, did he have a chance to become 5-0 away, and instead he became 4-1? I think that might have been what it was. So that means, you know how the caller just called in a minute ago and pointed out that Lambeau Field equals 233? It also equals 71. Kyle Allen could become 7-1 and 5-1 away. 233 is the 51st prime, so Kyle Allen's record would be just like Lambeau Field with a win. But Kyle Allen had a chance to become 5-0 away, and he didn't. And that number does play hard in San Francisco, but it didn't work out for him. So, on the surface, to me, it looks like the 49ers have the better riddle this week, but I'm going to wait until the conclusion of Sunday to see, to get that last piece of information, because, again, the home and away records for the week have been great clues for Monday Night Football. So, just like last week, we had Dallas winning on Monday Night Football to make home teams 11-3 for the week, because Dallas is 1-1-3. So, the 49ers are 19-24 in their stadium, which is funny because Seattle equals 19 and Seahawks equals 24. So their record is exactly like the incoming team. And the Seahawks are 4-1 in that stadium. Seahawks, they were used in a big 42 ritual with Super Bowl 49. That was the year that Tom Brady became 4-2 in Super Bowls by beating the Seahawks, who are from the 42nd state. But Seahawks are a funny team because of the letters in their name. They actually have Gematria of 24, 33, 42, and 51. Oh, wait. I wrote 51 days left in the year, but that's not true. There's actually 50 days left in the year for Monday Night Football, and San Francisco's 50. And the Seahawks do have a chance to go 5-0 away, so I'll wait to gather the information. Let's take it from the top real quick. Again, this is a really, really tough week. This is the hardest week of this season this year. And we've had some tight weeks the last few weeks, but this is the hardest yet. I think this is the hardest NFL week I've ever decoded. So really be careful. Lions and Bears. Again, I personally wouldn't mess with this game. Trubisky has not been able to get off those 18 wins. The Lions have a connection to 18, so do the Bears. But you look at the team's head-to-head records, and it looks better for the Bears. Bears 45, they get to 4-5. Chicago 35, Lions fall to 3-5-1. I mean, that's hard to go against because a lot of times it is just that surface level. But Trubisky, I just don't know what's going on with him. Also, Stafford can get his 45th loss at home to the Bears. Wait a minute. Hold on. I realize I have Stafford's home. Hold on. I got to fix this. I don't know if I typed home instead of away, but that could also be part of the reason I'm having trouble with that game. Maybe I got the wrong information down. All right, Stafford is 29-47. I wrote at home, but I do have his away stats there, so that's right. Yeah, this is just supposed to say away. I just typed the wrong thing. That's what I did. Okay, let me make sure that it is right, though. In the regular season, it should be. Yeah, okay, I had the right stats. I just wrote the wrong word. Okay. So Stafford could get his 45th away loss, and Bears is 45. Caller did point out that he could become 11-8 versus the Bears. Soldier Field's 1-8, but he could also stay on the 10 wins in Week 10. So, if the Lions won, Patricia would get his 10th win. So, honestly, I would just stay away from this game. I don't trust Trubisky right now. I keep thinking he's not going to get past the 18 wins, and he's going to be benched, and he's going to be done with the Bears. Maybe done as a starter, period. So, Ravens and Bengals. If the Ravens win, they're 4-1 away. Baltimore's 41. They play LA next away, so they'd go into LA 4-1, which makes a ton of sense. It would give them a chance to become 5-1. Rams is 51. Ravens probably do win this game. It's just that we have a new quarterback with the Bengals, and these new quarterbacks have been a mystery. A lot more of them are winning than losing this year. It's the year of the backup. Remember, backup equals 54. Could the backup bring the first win for the Bengals? You know, in the National Fixed League, it's possible. But Harbaugh has the loss going against him. Ravens probably win this game to set up the away record with the next opponent. The name of this ref equals 58, like Baltimore, too. The Bills and Browns. Again, it's hard to have confidence in the Browns. You would have a tribute to Buffalo on both sides. If the Browns won, they'd be 3-6. The Bills would be 6-3. Buffalo equals 36-63. If the Browns win, they get their first home win this year to become 1-3. It's the year of number 13, Odell Beckham. Again, Browns have all the connections to 13. So I'm gonna update the notes later tonight. I gotta go eat here in a minute, but just recapping this. Last thoughts. Here, let me take this call real quick. Caller.
Yeah. Is that you don't like the Ravens to get upset with the streak of 8 being snapped, like we've been following all year, or?
Well, streaks of 8 weren't good last week. And the thing about streaks of 8 is once they got to 8, there was no guarantee that they would end after 8. It was just about teams being at 7 and having the chance to go for 8. That's where it was really good. Okay. Going past 8, it's hard to say. So.
Okay, well, yep, I definitely understand. I see Alabama had an 8 streak snapped against LSU. That's another reason why I brought it up, because they had beat LSU 8 years in a row. So
right.
That's the reason I brought it up. But yep.
Right.
All right, Zach, I'll keep looking into it.
All right, yeah, appreciate it, man. It had been 8 years since LSU beat Alabama, so. But LSU had a great riddle today. I mean, if you looked at my notes, there was a strong riddle there for LSU. So, all right. So Browns getting to 1-3 at home. I mean, it does make sense. It connects to the team name. It connects to the stadium. It connects to the star player. It's just that if the Bills win, they're 10-11 versus the Browns on the date. That can be written 10-11. So, in the Browns, they're hard to have confidence in. Chiefs and Titans, again, you know, if the Chiefs lose, they're 6-4. Kansas City Chiefs is 64. If they win, they're 5-0 away. Chiefs is 50. This is the one game that seems to have a pie riddle. And it looks like it could be favorable for the Chiefs. Circle equals 50 like Chiefs. Again, pie, circles, 3.14, 314th day of the year. Again, it's been 318 weeks since the Chiefs beat the Titans. They're on a losing streak against them. 0.318 is the inverse of pi. Caller?
Yeah, they had an article on Mitch Trubisky. He wanted all the TVs out of the hallways, and they made a big thing of it because it was distracting. And he didn't want the team to be distracted anymore.
Okay. Okay. He is number 10. Maybe number 10 turns it around in week 10, so.
Possibility.
All right.
Point that one out there.
All right, appreciate it. Okay. But yeah, even Chiefs-Titans. It's just, God, I hate this week. This is the worst week I ever saw. So yeah, I can't even make a call on Chiefs-Titans. I think it's dangerous. You'd think the Chiefs would roll over the Titans, but the numbers say that the Titans got a good shot here. Again, the notes are posted so you can go over them. I'm going to think about things more tonight, and I will put a pick or a neutral in for each thing. But I got to go over and see if I can figure out what I'm missing right now. Okay, so the Saints and Falcons, you'd think the Saints would crush the Falcons the way they're playing. It's just that when you look at Drew Brees' stats, there's some things in here that are real concerning. So, I mean, I got to imagine New Orleans wins this game. They're one of the most complete teams in the NFL. The Falcons are not. So, I think some games the numbers are an illusion this week. Giants and Jets, again, another tough game. We're looking at the stadiums this week. if the Giants lose, they will stay on 39 wins in the stadium, and if the Jets win, they will be 39-39 in this stadium. The New York number, New York 39. Last week you had the cat running around on the field while the score was 3-9. Cardinals and Bucks. Cardinals equals 36 in the most pure cipher. Bucks can get to 3-6. Cardinals can fall to 3-6-1. That looks like the top riddle, but because I looked at the stadium for the first time this week, and I'm going to figure out if this is too much information because I've never done this before. I was hoping it was going to help make things more clear, but it didn't. If the Bucks lost this week, they would get their 84th loss in their stadium, and that's a big Arizona number. Arizona's 84. So, in fact, both stadium stats look better for the Cardinals. So, yeah. Dolphins and Colts. If the Colts lose, they're 5-4. The Dolphins are 2-7. Miami's 27. It's the year of Super Bowl 54. The AFC can even it up at 27-27 in Super Bowl wins with the NFC. You have a battle of two AFC teams. Again, the Baltimore Colts, before they were the Indianapolis Colts, were once upon a time the Miami Seahawks. So I just wonder if you could get the Super Bowl tribute with a Dolphins surprise win. Panthers and Packers, I'm leaning Panthers here. 307 days after Ron Rivera's birthday, the 63rd prime, his team gets to 6-3. They become 4-1 away. Green Bay's 41. Packers fall to 7-3. Carolina and Packers equal 73. Kyle Allen gets to 7-1 overall and 5-1 away. Lambeau Field 71-233, which is the 51st prime. Rivera gets his 77th win. Green Bay 77. The one concern is he could get his 60th loss on the 60-date numerology, but usually the Gematria trumps. And Rodgers, he could get his 60th loss in the regular season on the 60-date as well. And Rams and Steelers, you got riddles going on both sides. Mason Rudolph can be 4-1 at home. LA's 41. Goff can get his 30th win. So can McVay. Steelers 1-1-3, the 30th prime. So a little bit dangerous. Caller?
Hey, what's up, Zach? This is Martin.
What's up, man?
Not much. I do think the stadium's helped because I was looking at the stadium thing wrong, but when I saw you put your stats in for the notes for this week, I see that it actually does help. So you know, like how we really couldn't figure out who we liked on the Thursday night game. When I found out that the Chargers can get their 22nd loss, I thought it was the Raiders that can get their 22nd loss. It made so much more sense that the Raiders were a clear split.
Well, I agree. The stadium stats did look good for the Raiders in that Thursday night football game because they got their 191st win, the Raiders, which is the 43rd prime, and Chargers is 43. And the Chargers got their 22nd loss, Oakland 22. Last game they'll ever play there.
Yeah, exactly. And then you got to make sure you're also looking at the regular season stats and all-time stats for the teams. Like before you click on all the games, it shows the regular season stats at the date, and then it shows their all-time stats if you click on the game. Just so you know.
Oh, you're saying because there's playoffs factored into that too, huh?
Yeah. So when you look at them, make sure you're either looking at the regular season or you're looking at the all-time. You know, so that definitely can make a difference when you're looking at the games.
Okay. Let me look at this MetLife. So I didn't even think that is a good thing to think about there. Okay, so 155 games, regular season. Okay, the Jets are 38-39 in the regular season. The Giants are 38-40 in the regular season. So the Giants would have a shot at their 39th win in the regular season in that game.
Exactly.
Okay, I'll go back through it and clean that up. I'll go up and update that with all the teams.
So. And the last thing before I get off is just so you know, Pat Mahomes this year he has a 5-2 record. So if he did lose this week to the Titans to become 5-3, and he plays Los Angeles next week, which is 53.
Okay.
That's just a little note. I'm not saying that's a strong riddle, but it is a riddle. You know what I mean?
Okay.
He missed 2 games this week, so his record right now, as it started this year, is 5-2.
Okay. So you're saying if he lost 2, he'd be 5-4?
No, I'm saying if he lost this week, he'll be 5-3, and next week he plays Los Angeles, which is Los Angeles equals 53.
That's true.
So he's going within the record with 5-3 to Los Angeles.
That's true. Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
And the Sunday night football game, I have Kirk Cousins' primetime record is 6-13. Just wanted to make that note. And then Dak Prescott versus Kirk Cousins is 4-0. You know, so he could become 5-0 because Kirk Cousins does equal 50, and it is, you know, the year Super Bowl 50 of the modern era, or he could become 5-1. You know, Cowboys. I think either Cowboys or Dallas equals 41.
Dallas is 41.
Yeah, but I mean, the Dallas riddle seems a lot more, you know, a lot more solid. And the game with the 49ers, but the Arizona Cardinals and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. What I was looking at is since they're playing in Tampa Bay is 6-5 against the Cardinals, and if they win, they become 7-5, and Arizona Cardinals equals 75.
Arizona Cardinals is 75. That is true. Yeah, I was thinking everything looked pretty good there for the Bucs until I looked at the stadium record. So
yeah, but like I said, don't forget, you know, make sure you're looking at regular season.
Yeah, I'll go back and do that. Yeah.
All right, but enjoy dinner, man. Peace.
All right, appreciate it. Thanks, Martin.
No problem.
Okay, so anyway, I mean, one of the best riddles to me of the week in terms of the numbers is the Panthers upsetting the Packers. And because they're an underdog, you can take the points, too. If they lose in a close game and they cover, you're still good. And then the Sunday Night Football game, I mean, there's a lot there that lines up for the Cowboys. So, and I bet you once I look at the regular season stats, then I don't have to worry about that 39 either for Sunday Night Football. All right, let me take one last call, and then I got to get off. My lady's going to kill me. Caller?
If you got time, can you look up the records between the home and away teams for, cause you know how Fox got the American Game of the Week, cause it looks like the Panthers should win the game, crunching the numbers, but cause I remember there was a game on primetime where it all lines up, but then the home record with the Steelers and the Chargers game that Sunday night. So I wonder, can you do the same thing for the Fox American Games of the Week? Can you search up the record between the homes?
You mean for the entire season, teams home and away records?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll put that in the notes.
Fox.
Yeah, I'll do that.
The Fox American Games of the Week. All right.
Yeah, I'll do that. All right, see you, man. Okay, you guys, I'm gonna eat, and then I'm gonna come back and I'm gonna update the some stats, and then I'll write what I think is the pick. A lot of the games I'm gonna stay neutral on this week. I'll tell you that much, but try to iron out 3 or 4 of my favorite games here. And remember, tomorrow I will decode hockey and basketball. So in a tight week like this, you don't have to force the situation. Think about over the course of the next week how many games we're going to look at and how many good riddles we're going to find. And for Rod, if you're still out there, man, I feel bad hearing that you had 2 bad days, especially yesterday, because we were 7-1 with our picks yesterday. So I'm like, how did you have a bad day yesterday? But yeah, don't force it, you guys. Wait for the good ones. And this NFL week is just, it's a lot of just super tight narratives. So we'll get out of this. It has been tight the last few weeks, and it got even tighter this week, but it'll clear up again. There'll be some golden weeks, no doubt about it, before the end of the year. So and eventually we'll figure out the most solid pick for the Super Bowl too. So we're still looking for that winning clue. But like I said earlier in the live stream, I'm starting to think maybe it's the riddle we've been following for over a year. Hold on, let me take this call real quick. He just called and I didn't pick up in time. I want to take his call before we wrap up.
What's up, Zach?
Hey man, sorry I didn't pick up the phone fast enough.
Yeah, it's cool. I heard you say you went back over the New York Giants game. Like you said, both of them can get 39 now?
Well, so Martin made a good point because he said those stats that I had included the postseason, so I went back and looked at the regular season. In the regular season, the Giants' next win. For the Jets, it doesn't make a difference because they haven't had any postseason games there. But for the Giants, their next win in the regular season there is 39. So they could get the 39th regular season win. But at the same time, the Jets could still even it up 39-39, so it's still dangerous.
Right, but both shots got a shot. And what was the other thing I missed? I noticed it's an 18-date numerology tomorrow, and they can go 1-8, and the Jets equals 18. So
right.
I think that, but what about the other thing with the somebody can pick up 33 tomorrow, right?
That was the coach for the Jets. He can either get his 25th win, Giants is 25, or his 33rd loss, New York's 33.
and Sunday 33. I think that's just okay. All right, that kind of made me feel better. So whether I win or lose, at least I know I will to meet with the better riddle.
Okay. All right. Yeah. Good luck, man. I'm cheering for you.
All right. Appreciate it.
All right. Take care, man. See you. Okay. Yeah. I'm gonna look. I'll update these notes tonight. So if you want to look at it again in the morning or whenever you do, it'll be all updated. But I'm gonna leave it there. I'm gonna eat some food. I've been decoding all day, and then of course tomorrow morning I'll post basketball and hockey. So if you want more good picks for tomorrow, I'm sure there'll be some with basketball and hockey. And again, we have so many games to choose from, so you can be selective. But we'll leave it there for now and do another live stream Monday. All right, you guys, have a good one. Until next time.